and welcome back to Spekd. Today we're going to be looking at Warhammer Conquest issue number 17. Now, as always, I know it is delayed, but I do get my Conquest magazines in one monthly delivery. Unless it's actually a special issue, I'll go out and get it. So if you are also getting yours coming along at the same time, we can go through them together. So a good thing is, the price is still $7.99, and we have seen a container before. Let me tell we've got a container because it's wrapped backwards. I wonder if they'll do this about other large models, but we'll soon see. So we've got the items there, quite sturdy. So let me take this out and we'll have a look at it. You can tell one of the motivating factors for me to get these videos done also is that the packets remain wrapped because I've really wanted to read this and see what's going on with it. But first off, let's have a look at the sprue. Now, this sprue is exactly the same as one of the previous issues, and as always, check over the sprue to make sure it's got no issues or problems. Right, it's looking good to me, so there's no damage there. And I've heard a lot of issues about coloured plastics, and so far we've been through all 17 plus magazines. I've been through 17 issues, but I've made more than one set of models from a group of magazines, and they've all been fine. So, hey, maybe I'm just that lucky guy. Alright, let's continue. So, in this magazine, we're going to be looking at the armoured container. We're going to be taking an in-depth look at Nurgle and go over deployment rules. This cover design, I normally talk about the colours and like the contrast and how they kind of do their layouts from like a graphic design perspective, but this cover is extremely muted. I'm just guessing that maybe because they're kind of highlighting Nurgle, but otherwise this cover I don't actually like. Okay, let's have a look, especially in comparison to other designs. So, they're going to focus on Chaos, Nurgle, Forces at Ultramar. We'll look at the Minotaurium armor container again, building, colouring, and new mission, which is what we always expect to see. Now, this is a better cover. So, first up, they got the Chaos Gods, the information on there, and I think this is the first time you'll really be introduced to the Chaos Gods if you've never been into Warhammer 40,000. So, sorry, excuse me, it's first thing in the morning. So this is a really nice outlook to how the entities work, and I'll just leave it as that. I don't want to spoil all the info, but it's really interesting at how the warp is a living entity itself and how these creatures spawn from it. It's an amazing story. So we see the breakdown of the four gods there, or the four powers. And we're going to focus on Nurgle. Now, Nurgle is in charge of the Death Guard. All the corruption that you see that's happened to those Plague Marines comes from Nurgle. And that's a lovely little piece of artwork there. This is quite regular, and it's like masses and masses of plague and bacteria and creatures just crawling across a planet, just full of life. At the cost of individuals making billions. Yeah, how bacteria spreads. So we've got more information. Nurgle. Interesting. So we have here the kind of breakdown of the Space Marines or the Ultramarines. And if you're building an army connected to a story, or you want to tell a story, you can actually build them up to this. I mean, this is a lot of models if you ever kind of did that, but you can have a lot of fun. And sometimes people do play out these battles, and they used to call them like apocalypse battles, where they like have hundreds and hundreds or thousands of points to play with. And I'm not talking like one or two, I'm talking like 10, 20, 30,000. So these are the invaders. So this is almost like historical wargaming right here. Sorry about that. This is kind of like almost historical wargaming. So if you and your friends decide that you're going to want to play that story, that narrative, and it's like, okay, this battle is this thing and this next one is for that, and and build up to the final battles and what you have there, that's like an amazing story. I mean, you even have like Mortarion, the Demon Primarch, who's totally in charge of Death Guard. That just tells you they want you to kind of build this to play. I don't know if you'll ever get all of these models in your time, but you know, it will be fun to give it a go. I mean, imagine that. Your whole living room floor will be covered. You won't find a tabletop big enough for that. But that would be a great weekend. So, armor container, we've seen these before. The elastic band was key. If it's the first time you're building that, make sure you got the elastic bands to hold everything together nicely. Otherwise, when it glues together, it will just fly apart. So, continued instructions. And for those of you that have been here for a little bit, you know that my daughter has this as a cracker for her dolly. So one of those has gone missing. One of the ends of the containers. Oh well. Painting scheme. They want you to paint this one slightly different. I kind of bypassed the colour schemes that they recommended when they did this because I realised it would use up a lot of paint. So what I did is I went ahead and used the brown as a base colour as if it had been eroded or rusted, and just added in 1 or 2 flecks highlights, and I'll show you the container at the end. Just to save paint, because if you're using up all this paint to base paint and then colour, I think it's just way too much. It is a waste of paint. And painting inside the containers, it's like painting inside of a rhino, and you'll see later on there's really no point in doing that. It is really a waste of paint. If you've got paint laying around from like another project, you got a big sponge, you just dab it on. If you don't want to lose the last part of that paint, then fine. But don't go too far into that. So they've got painting information, dry brushing again. I wonder if they're going to pull through. Going for Death Guard green. Yeah, guys, don't waste your paint on this. But seriously, get a rattle can, spray it. Get a sponge with a touch of colour, just dab it on, even if it's a touch of green, and it's done, it's finished. You know, add your gold highlights as and where you need to, and then you're done. Wash it, finished, done. If you're gonna wash it, as you can see there. Okay, for fire zone secured. So this mission, let's have a look. You've got the Blight Hauler, Plague Marines, 12 Pox Walkers. That's good. So your battlefield is really starting to get big. Intercessors, 5 of them, the Aggressors, Primaris, Librarian, and the 2 Hellblasters. And that is a really nice basis. That's like a little, well, it's bigger than a kill team by the time you've done that. Got your victory conditions. We're still playing on the same map. I have no issue with this because I've actually seen the new map and I think it's brilliant. And I'll show you fairly soon. And that reminds me, we have a little thing which I'm just that's it, nothing else. Those of you who watched the previous videos will know what that's about. So variable missions, excuse me, first thing in the morning. So they've effectively changed the layout, and they discuss like how to have different missions, or just play different missions, scenery, etc. And that's nice. Interesting. Variable deployments. So that's really good. They're showing you how to set up your models in a way that you want within that zone, because normally they have set spots that you should place your models. So, and also they're speaking about alternating deployments. So one deploys first, then the second, then the next person, and so on. And that's predominantly the way that you set up in Warhammer 40k. Unless it's a special mission, and then you'll set up all of your models on one side, then on the other. But then that has its advantages and its disadvantages. Introducing the roll-off. I mean, if you've been collecting up until this point, you can just pretty much go out and play a game of Warhammer 40k. Only difference is that your points value might not be correct. If you're playing like match play individual points, or if you're playing by power level, you will be fine. So get out there and play. Continuing, placing objectives. This is really good for tactical decisions. If you're placing 2 objectives, if you're placing your objectives, try and place it in an area where there's little cover, you have lots of line of sight to, so you've got lots of targets to fire. So rather than placing maybe that objective there, you might want to place it here, so if your opponent's coming for it, you've got all that line of sight. Okay, so wrapping up, as always, you've got your subscription. Go to your local store and we'll see what we've got next. Alright, so we've got our detailed paint guide. You know what, if that contains all of the painting up to now, then that would be a really good issue to get. So we've got Rakar Flesh and Mephisto Red. Now issue 19, a lot of people spoke about this saying it was absolutely fantastic. I'm not too familiar with the Death Guard Terminators, but as a character, I think that's maybe the reason why this sold out really fast. So yeah, I look forward to seeing that. So now I can finally go and sit down, put this in my folder and read it. So that's the magazine, and let's get a look at the container. When it came to the crate, I decided that I wanted to show that it had entered the atmosphere. On re-entry it kind of burnt up, lost a lot of its colour, but had been sitting on the planet long enough that it started to rust and decay. And that's the story that I had behind it. I used the painting technique that I use for the Orc base on this, so it's really simple and quick. I consider this container probably like a forward position or outpost. It's brilliant for that. Next is the ammunition crates and the barrels. The technique that I used for these were very simple, one main colour and simple dry brush using silver. The contents of the barrel, I made sure to use different colours to either portray that the contents were leaking out, but it was handy to use for separate objective markers. That brings us to the end of this Warhammer Conquest review, and as always I've enjoyed our time. You've got a few things up here just as reminders, just in case you're wondering. Blackstone Fortress, get your votes in as to what characters you want to see. The VAT reps will be on their way once we get the Zolaris painted up. Terminators, Custodes. The giveaway is still up and running, and that will be ending very soon. Close date, let's just say when the issue 20 goes up, I'll be announcing the winner for that. I had plenty of fun painting these guys, and I definitely should have got more. I advise you, if you're playing these models, go and get yourself a few of these intercessors. They're brilliant and they're extremely fun to paint. So get your hobby time. I've enjoyed our time, and as always, this has been Spekd. PC out.